The Leila Show.
Beyond the New to the Leila Show, a podcast where we connect with fascinating individuals and creators from all over the globe to share stories, perspectives, experiences, and unravel the fundamentals of existence with your host, me, Leila Ziari. Welcome to the show. I'm Leila, your host, a world traveler, two-time published author, and all-around seeker of community, love, light, and unraveling the interesting things and facets that connect us all. So, welcome to my show, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
And on today's show, we are talking to our guest, Urmi Hossain, and she is Bengali by blood and Italian by birth. She works in the financial services industry in Canada, where she is currently residing. She is a self-published author, speaker, blogger, polyglot, and mentor. She is the holder of the CFA Charter, one of the highest designations in the financial industry. Her first book is Discovering Your Identity, a rebirth from interracial struggle. She is an advocate of women's empowerment and very passionate about teaching and mentoring other girls and women. She is part of the organization called Women in Leadership for the Victoria chapter in Canada as the social media lead, where she spreads the message of gender equality and more women in the leadership positions. She enjoys being a promoter of self-investing and personal development. In her free time, she enjoys reading, books, and practicing Muay Thai. Welcome.
Hi Leila, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Thank
I'm
you.
good, thank you.
We are grateful to have you. So, yes, you have quite an interesting life that I've read a bit about, but I'm excited to have you tell us some more about that. So, you want to tell us a bit about your background and pretty much just tell us your story, but let's tell us, do you want to start with your background, because I find it very interesting. You're Italian born, but obviously you're Bengali, so can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I would love to. So as you already mentioned a little bit during my introduction, I am Italian by birth and Bengali by blood, and now I am Canadian by law. So I was born and raised in Italy, and my parents come from Bangladesh, and I basically lived my whole life in Italy before moving to Canada. So I grew up in Italy, and I went to Italian school. All my friends were Italian, and my parents, of course, are from Bangladesh. So when I was growing up, I had a little bit of internal conflict because I never felt like I knew where I belonged to. I never felt that I was Bengali enough, and I never felt I was Italian enough because when I would be around my Italian friends, I was very self-conscious that I did not look like them. And when I would go home, I also feel like I did not feel enough Bengali because my mentality was very much like Western type of mentality. And so I had a lot of conflict when I was growing up because I never felt like I was enough of everything. And then as I grew up, I still feel like I had that type of conflict, and I felt like I was alone in this journey because even when I was growing up, especially in Italy, there were not that many immigrant kids. So I could not relate to anyone because everyone around me was Italian. So I never had anyone that I could speak to or open up to and say this is how I'm feeling. I don't know if this is normal. And so I went my whole life thinking that it was a normal until I moved to Canada, and where I started to see there are more and more people like me. It doesn't necessarily mean they have my same ethnical background, but they might be I don't know, Chinese, Canadian, or South American and Japanese type of thing. So that's what I feel like, okay, I'm not really alone in this journey, and that's how I ended up accepting or embracing that I belong to two worlds, and it's just all about embracing them and creating my own world. And that's when I go around, I always tell people I am Italian Bengali, and I don't want anyone to say, okay, you are just Italian or just Bengali because of my blood or because of where I was born, because I definitely embrace both of the cultures, and both of them belong to me, and they make me who I am today. So.
I think that's really beautiful and very interesting cultures to be part of. And I can relate to that also because my father is from Iran and he immigrated here when he was 17. And my mother is European, but a European American. So her family immigrated a long time ago. But I know I had the thing of growing up, I was the only dark skinned kid. And I was I mean, I was a lot darker then, and I looked a lot like my dad, and I was like in this school of like very ritzy kids who were very, very
Mm-hmm.
just white, you know? And, you know, my dad was still very culturally Middle Eastern, and my mom really wasn't. So even that, like, between them was a struggle, but there was quite literally no one like me growing up. And then, you know, as you may probably know, I moved to France. But so I'm French by law now. I mean, I'm not officially a citizen, but I am a resident and on my way to do that. So yeah, like, and I feel that's very valid because when you like move away from your bubble and like, I don't know, I've been traveling for 12 years, but you know, when I left like my little family home, like just seeing more people and more cultures and more people who travel, it's such a relief because I can imagine that was
Yeah. Yeah.
difficult, you know, and what part of Italy were you born in?
I was born in Sicily, but you know what? I have such a long history because this is what I say, but then I was born in Sicily. I lived in Sicily for 9 years, but then we moved to the north. So we travel a lot when I was growing up. I changed school a couple of times. We changed city a couple of times. We went to the north, then we went to England for a year, then we came back to Italy. So my last
Oh,
city before I moved to Canada was actually Milan. So I would say like my life in Italy was split between the south and the north, which are completely like opposite to each other.
yeah, they're completely opposing regions. That's so interesting though. I mean, it's like you got to see, I'm sure, a lot of beautiful places, but I'm sure that kind of made it more difficult too, how much you moved to ever like really keep any, you know, solid connections, and you're already feeling like that a bit. So yeah, and I mean, I've never really met anybody from Bangladesh before, so like I honestly am very interested in like the culture and how like you grew up and like how your family was. Like I know obviously they moved to Italy, but like were they very culturally Bengali at home?
Yes, yes, very much. And even till nowadays, like even though it's been probably more than 40 years that they've been living outside of Bangladesh, they the culture is still like embedded in them. They wanted, especially like when they had me and then my sister, of course, they wanted me to have that, side, which we both have, but it's like, you cannot expect us to be fully Bengali, especially because we're living in a Western world and we are so much influenced by the outside, cultures. Like me living in Canada now, of course, growing up in Italy, that's a factor. Like we live in such a globalized world that you cannot expect that. And it was hard for me at the beginning because I felt like my parents are very, very conservative and they're very strict. And so there are like certain rules that are applied to like girls, but not because it's like written anywhere. It's just because it's cultural. And so like women are supposed to be like obedient, listening to their parents, and they're not supposed to be like hanging out too much outside, how we're like supposed to be behaving with other people, what we say, which I feel like it applies a lot in every culture, to be honest. It's not just
It
particular to
really does.
Bangladesh. Yeah. So it's just that I feel like some cultures, they somehow progress and moved on, whereas some others, I think they're not yet advancing. Things are changing, but not as much. So there is a little bit of gender stereotypes, I would say, and it's a culture based on that, unfortunately. And so that was a little bit of the conflict where I felt like, that was like the biggest thing I would say. Like, I feel like I never have experienced, my teenage life the way I wanted to, especially when I would see my female friends living in Italy where, they would go out, they would like come home late, and I remember they would ask me, why can you not do it? Why can we not have a sleepover? It's just us. And I was like, you know what? It's not that I cannot do it. It's just the perception that there is around that. So that was the difficult part, I would say.
Oh wow, yeah, that is, but I can imagine that would be very difficult. And like, yeah, you're right. Like there is definitely gender roles that in in all cultures really, I mean, in the US too, but I do feel like because it's such a melting pot, it's more far away from that. But, you find it in France still, you find it everywhere. And then there's, of course, like in Iran. I mean,
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I don't want to go there as a single woman, which is like, crazy for me to say because I solo travel around the world, but a lot of that. And yeah, so I definitely understand that. And very, very interesting. And have you ever been to Bangladesh? Like, have you gone and visited?
Yeah, I went like I want to say 4 times, but I'm thinking I'm probably getting that wrong. I think I've been like 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
I went when I was like much younger. I was like a kid, and then I went back when I was much older. So I do have a very like vivid memories of Bangladesh and how things are. And it's a very nice country. It's just that it's very different from, the Western world.
Right, right. Definitely different from the Western world, but also very interesting. I do love to like experience a lot of the cultures, like any culture. I mean, my life, I love to travel, so I would like to go there. I would like to go everywhere one day. Maybe I'll take a trip there one day and check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, I mean, I saw like the pictures of like some of your like traditional gowns and stuff. Like it all looks so, like all of that is beautiful to me, and I'm so fascinated in all the cultures. So
Thank you.
yeah. And then of course I'm sure that like all of this inspired your first book, which is pretty much about that. Do you want to tell us a bit about your first book?
Yeah. So I self-published my first book last year. It's gonna be a year that I self-published it, and basically the whole purpose of me writing this book, it was because I wanted to get my message out there and basically talk about a little bit about my childhood and how it was for me to like have this identity type of crisis where where I could feel like I was not able to define myself. And I felt like I wanted to share this to the world, especially because it is a common thing. Like it's the thing about third culture kid. And for me, it was a very therapeutic experience because I already had the thoughts in my mind. I just had to write them down somewhere. And so that's how I came to write it. It literally like took me 30 days because I knew what I wanted to say. And it was like it was like ideas were inside my head. I just needed them to be written somewhere concretely. So I was like, you know what, let me just try it and see how it is. And I always wanted to write a book, which was always like part of my, I would say like bucket list. But I didn't think it was going to come this far. I had time in my hand. I was like, you know what, let's do it. And so I did it, and I was very happy about it because I feel like, there is a story that I'm sharing to the world. And I was already talking about this in many podcasts because people seem very interested about my background. And so I was like, you know what, let's make something out of it. So that's how I came to create it. And hopefully there's going to be a second one. Who knows?
I hope so too. I mean, I would love that. And I mean, I think that's great because writing is such a healing way to get all your feelings out. And like you do, like so many of us have a story one way or the other. And a lot of us want to share it, but don't really know like how to put that out or like the outlet for that. And I know, I mean, I think that's probably why I started this podcast because I'm a writer and I've published 2 books myself. But like when it comes down to like my personal stories, which I do kind of want to like get out there in a bit, like writing it is so emotional for me. I never get to the point of actually being able to complete it. So I think it's like incredible that you did that because you do have a fascinating like background in history. And I think like every one of us, no matter what our culture did, all kind of had an identity crisis like in teenage years. Just if it wasn't like the cultural differences, it was just growing up in a society where you're told what to do by any one of your parents. And like it's not, just being told and restricted based on wherever you live and wherever you are and whatever your force is. And, that's whatever that experience is, it's like it's a time where you're self-discovering and you want to be so free to discover who you are as a person. And, I mean, but that's life. I mean, all we really are doing is discovering ourselves as people, but it's such like a integral time, like in our lives. So I'm really, I'm happy you got that out there. And I think that's great. And like, how does your family feel about like all of this?
No, no one knows about it. That's the thing.
Okay.
If they want to Google me, they're more than
curious
welcome.
about that. I was like, do they know everything she's doing?
Nah.
Well, one day, and they'll probably be very
One
proud
day.
of you when they
Yes.
figure it out, The parents always come around, like when you're doing it and you made it for yourself, they're like, all right, eventually they usually come around that time.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so how did you start like all of this? I mean, the book, did you start like the entrepreneurial journey and the blogging and all of that around the same time as this book, or was that before?
So I feel like I do come across as an entrepreneur, but I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not.
like
That's the
I
thing.
read your things and I was like, blogs, we got books. I was like, entrepreneur for sure.
No, but I do get like people mistake me as an entrepreneur, and some people were like, are you also like a life coach and stuff like that? I'm like, no, I'm none of it. I actually do work full time in the financial services industry. So I have my 9 to 5 job, but then I have my 5 to 9, which I would like to call, which are just like, I'm just pursuing my passion. That's pretty much all I'm doing. Like, I'm not running a business, but I do things that, like, self-publishing my own book, which is still like, I'm still deriving an income from it. I also tutor in my free time, which is also like something where I get an income, and I do a lot of volunteering work, which I really, really enjoy. I do have a YouTube channel. I do have a blog. So I know I've come across as an entrepreneur, but I'm not. But these are some of the things that I do like on the weekends after work, because I feel like they bring me a lot of fulfillment and a lot of satisfaction, and I feel like I'm giving back through my knowledge and whatever I know to serve a purpose, especially a lot with my volunteering work. I'm like, you know what, I think I have all this skills, so why not use it to like for a greater cause, and things like, women's empowerment, gender equality, which are really like close to my heart, especially with like how I saw it when I was growing up. I was like, I want to give back and like break this type of like gender bias and bring more awareness and educate more people. So that's how I do all these things. And it all started, like, I would say it started 3 years ago, especially during the pandemic, when we had a lot of time in our hands. And I know a lot of people were going to like change of careers and stuff like that, but I just wanted to find my passion and follow I would say my purpose. And so that's how I was like, you know what, let me just follow my curiosity, intuition, and see where this leads me. So little by little, I started with the blog, and I was like, okay, I love doing this because I'm working on my writing skills, but I'm also helping other people. Then I was like, I want to have a YouTube channel and see how comfortable I am speaking on a crowd. And that turned out to be great. I'm still growing the channel, but I see like I'm getting subscribers day by day, which is a great thing. And then I started to get invited into podcasts because I had this story to share. Then I started to like read this book. Then I published an ebook about like your Italian summer. And
I
so
saw
that
that. I
was
was
another
excited
thing.
about that too.
So that was another thing. So I'm always like, I do have that entrepreneurial spirit because I have all these ideas in my mind, and I'm very proactive, and I do have all these like initiatives. And so I just don't wait for anyone. I just do it my own because I don't like to wait on anyone. So I think that's where it comes, all this like entrepreneurial, like, things that where people think, oh, you must be an entrepreneur running a business, but I'm not.
Well, I mean, like, to me, yeah, it seems like that. It comes across as that. I mean, like, I was just looking at your like Linktree. It's very like, it looks like you got it. Like, this is like your full-time thing, because it's very put together in such a way, and you have so many different facets. And I mean, God, I've never worked like a 9 to 5. I've been like a rambling, traveling creator my whole life, and like, I can't say that my stuff is put together nearly like, as organized and like put like it does, so like yours is. So I was like, wow, yeah, she's definitely been doing this. This is like, that must be such a balance. I mean, like, and it's so opposite, right? Working in the finance industry and then coming home and doing this. It's probably
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
opposite.
no, exactly. That's the thing. Like, I don't get any help. Like, I know people that do this, they have like freelancers helping them. I'm not hiring anyone. I just do it my own. I'm like, you know what? It's a good opportunity for me to learn and know how to do this on my own. I see it more like as a learning opportunity. And so I actually enjoy it. I remember even with my blog, it was such a disaster at the beginning because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I had to like watch a bunch of YouTube videos and be like, how are we supposed to create a website? What is it that I need to put? It was a lot of trial and error. And then eventually I finally learned it. So I see every of this type of thing as a learning opportunity. And that's why I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it definitely is, and you only get better with time, and it's very interesting, and I'm the same, I self-publish my books. So like, it's like, why wait for someone to get it done? And that's how this show kind of came about too, because I was like waiting for a partner for years and years, and I was like, yeah, no, it's time to just like take it into my own hands, like get it done. And that goes into
Exactly.
women empowerment too, because honestly, you're empowering people by empowering yourself by building these passions, because passions, I mean, hopefully one day I see it, you'll be, your passions will be your life. But like that, all we
Exactly.
can really do is funnel like as much free time as we have into the things that really drive us. And I mean, you're getting yourself out there, you're on a lot of podcasts, and that's like, I think it's amazing. So
That's true. Thank
And
you.
yeah, so I also the book Summers in Italy. I'm very interested in that because like I told you, I just moved to France I've been living in France for a year now, and I'm actually moving to Italy for the summer. So
Okay. Like
yeah.
for permanently?
Well, just 3 months. Because I'm a French resident, I technically have to like renew my every year in France, but I have no plan. Like, I put my stuff in a storage locker in Marseille and got a job teaching yoga and like gardening at a retreat in the island of Elba, like in Tuscany. So,
Oh my God, that's so nice. That's so nice. Ah, that's so nice. You should definitely do it.
I mean, I'm on my way at the beginning of June. So when I saw that, I was like, ooh, that's, I'm having a summer in Italy. I was like, that's fantastic. Have you ever been to this island? I know this is completely off topic.
No, no, I've never been to this island.
Okay. Me
Never.
either. I've
Hopefully
never
one
been.
day. One day.
One day you can come visit me and we can do yoga
Yeah,
and
one
stuff.
day. Oh,
And I
this
know
is so
you're very
great.
to Muay Thai, so like that's, in the spectrum of yoga and stuff. Can
Yeah.
you tell
Yeah.
me more
Well,
about this? Because I'm going to sound stupid if I try to talk about it because I don't actually know
yeah,
much.
no worries. So basically Muay Thai, it's martial arts.
Okay. That's what
Um, it's like boxing, basically. It's
Okay.
basically like boxing because you need like boxing gloves and you're like doing jab, cross, hook. You're doing like you're using your kicking and stuff like that. So it's a full body workout. And so
Oh, okay.
it's martial arts. So it's really not like yoga because yoga I think
No,
is
it's
more
nothing
like
like, I was thinking more like Qigong and Tai Chi. I was like, oh yeah, like Tai Chi movement slow, because I do a lot of that. But yeah, okay, I was absolutely wrong. So this is more, this would
it's
be
more
more
like
like,
boxing.
okay.
It's more like it's self-defense. It's pretty much self-defense basically. So you do a full body workout, and I actually started it a couple of months ago. Then I had to stop, and then I'm gonna start back. I think like tomorrow because, like for me, Muay Thai and boxing was like life changing. Like you don't understand. Like I never saw myself doing this, but then I tried the class and I was like I am so in love with this. Like it was I don't know how to explain it. It's like the best experience ever because you're doing this full workout, but it's like helping you mentally, it's helping you like your body and you feel much stronger. You feel much empowered when you come out from the workout and you're like working out with a bunch of other people. So I used to go to this women's class and it was like a bunch of women. So you feel like you belong to a community of like women that just want to be stronger mentally and physically. And it's like the great workout that I can always suggest to every woman because it's self-defense, but you get to do all these other things. And the thing is, I feel like once you do Muay Thai, you can never go back to another type of workout. Like I used to do like HIIT workout, boot camp, CrossFit. But once you start Muay Thai, like it's like you go back to do CrossFit and it's like not the same level. Like it doesn't give you the same boost that you get when you're doing Muay Thai. So that's why like I stopped and then I did HIIT and I was like, it doesn't feel the same. So now I'm going
Right.
back to do this because I was like, I belong there. And I feel like Muay Thai in a sense just shaped my identity of like a fighter, like a warrior, like I can do anything in life. So that's why I feel like Muay Thai just changed my life, just changed my perspective. And I used to follow this girl and I still follow her on Instagram who basically she does Muay Thai. And every time I see her, I feel very much inspired. So I was like, you know what? I can do it too. Initially, I was a little bit intimidated because I was like, you watch out, I'm going to break a leg, an arm or something. But it's not like that. People are super, super nice and it's like an amazing workout, honestly.
Yeah, I would love to try. I mean, a few of my friends, they don't do Muay Thai, but they do like martial arts defense classes, and they just absolutely rant and rave about it like all day long. And I feel like, yeah, that's because it is. It's like you can defend yourself, and like I feel like especially as women, I feel like we always have to defend. I feel like we have to defend ourselves, and it is.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe everybody, but especially as women, it is really good to be able to defend yourself, and it is empowering to be able to like, yes, I can protect myself with my words, and I can protect myself with my actions because I am a powerful being and I can rise up. But it's like physically too, like, all right, I am strong, I am a warrior, because I feel like mentally I'm a warrior, but like if you come at me, like I'm not gonna be better, like it's not gonna be good for me. It's really not.
No, but me too. I'm pretty sure if someone like tries to do something, I probably not will not be able, but who knows, maybe now that I did enough hours of like Muay Thai, probably I will be like, okay,
You'll
I can
be
give you a punch
better.
if you're attacking me, you know?
Right. And I mean, like, hey, we could do this interview again, like, next year. And, like, you'll be like, all right, well, now I'm, like, a master at this. So, one
Watch
day
out,
at
I'm
a
doing,
time.
watch out, I'm wrestling on a, like on TV. You
I
watch me doing
know.
like,
The possibilities are endless. I mean, honestly, it's so beautiful about this life. You really can
yeah,
do anything. And I love everything you do because, like, you are doing a lot of different things. I mean, you're doing blogs, you're doing YouTube channels, you're doing this, and it really is coming from such a place of passion and empowerment. And so, like, there is really no stopping of where that goes. And I think that's what's interesting with life because, like, like, the book will lead to, like, this other open door, and then that open door will bring you to, like, Muay Thai or, you know, a blog or, like, this person or this person. And it's, like, the like,
yeah,
chain of events that comes with, like,
yeah.
following your passion is just, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a key which opens one door, and then that door like opens another door. So it's like endless. It's like you said, it's literally endless.
Right, and you have no idea, and, like, you know, but it really is. It comes from when you follow that passion. Cause
Yeah,
as soon as you start
exactly.
following that path, it's just like, wow, what's gonna happen next?
Exactly.
And so, like, let's talk about. I'm interested in, like, the women's charter that you are part of too, because I've not.
Okay, so basically, I'm part of this organization called Women in Leadership, and basically, it's this organization in Canada, and we have like different chapters within Canada. So we have like in Montreal, we have the one in Ottawa, Toronto, Vancouver. So we're basically like spread out, and this organization, these chapters are run by women, and the whole goal of Women in Leadership is just to promote more women in leadership position, to promote gender equality, to break the bias, more gender empowerment, more like women's empowerment. And throughout the year, we organize bunch of events all dedicated about like women's empowerment. We just had one which was about how to use LinkedIn to best promote yourself, and we had like a great turnover. It was like a virtual event. We had I think 169 women that participated, and there was a guest speaker who basically gave us like 15 tips on how to use LinkedIn for like promote yourself, get yourself out there. And at the end of the month, we have the Women in Leadership Day. And so basically this is an in-person event in 7 cities within Canada. And basically during this event, we will have like panel speakers. We will have we will have women invited, and we will have like a networking event. We will offer food and stuff like that. And there will be an opportunity for other women to learn from other women, and also to get like advice from other people. So that's an opportunity to network. And these events just happen throughout the year. Before the pandemic, it was during the pandemic, it was a little bit harder because of course everything was just virtual.
Right.
But now that we're back like in person, so we are having more in-person events. And I live in Montreal, but I volunteer for the Victoria chapter. So like I'm totally like far. But I volunteer virtually as a social media lead. So basically I'm running their social media account where I'm promoting events, posting stuff. And we also have like Instagram lives with the members of the community where these are women that work in like different industry. And we talk about like what are some of the hurdles they face, what are some of the advice they can suggest or they can share to other women that want to work in a certain industry. So it's more like mentoring type of thing where you learn like peer-to-peer type of thing. And so it's just all about like building a community of women who just want to like empower themselves and go out there and be leaders basically.
I think that's so beautiful and so wonderful because community is so important. And I mean, and it must feel so good for you because you were saying before like how you didn't really ever feel like you had that community. And I know like with moving so much in my life too, like maintaining any sort of community has been very difficult for me as well. And it really is like so important to have like that support. And, you know, because everybody's on their own path, and like you can't like expect people to be there all the time. And you build a community and a network like that, you have like so many people from so many different backgrounds and so many different stories, just like all coming for the same cause. It is like very beautiful. hopefully you get to Victoria to go to one of these events. That's
Well, maybe one day I will go. I don't know.
maybe. It is the other end. That's completely.
It's far.
I've only been to like Toronto. I have a bunch of Iranian family there, so
Yeah, it's far. It's far.
yeah. Yes. But I think it looks very beautiful there, honestly. So
I think so too. So maybe one day I will go. So no.
maybe, the world is your oyster. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Canada's beautiful. I mean, I like it. So you've been living there for how many years now?
Long, many
Oh,
years, more than 10 years. Yeah.
oh wow. Okay, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, awesome. Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I met a lot of Iranians. I have a lot of Iranian
There
friends.
is so many in Canada. I don't know what
Yes.
it is about
Yes.
Canada, but
Yes, there are many. Yes. I
yeah.
like my closest friends are from Iran actually.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes. And I love Iranian food. Like it's so good.
Oh, it's the best. I know.
It's so good.
I remember like when I was a kid, like we're not as close really, any of us, because things happen. People lose their minds, their connections, or whatever. People die, things happen, and that's kind of what happened in my family. Everybody just like got married, divorced, and died or whatever, and the connections that kind of built us together dissipated with that. But like when I was a kid, we would all pack in this van. Me, my dad, my cousin's dad, and like we would all get in this van and drive to Toronto for a week, like once a year, and we would just go. And there was like, I swear, there was a whole neighborhood where all my Iranian family had a house. So there was like 5 houses in a row, and we would just house hop. And they would have, every time the table would just have this feast. And you would think they were feeding like 200 people, and it was like that every day. This is so delicious. Like, I want an Iranian feast.
Yeah, there are so many. I don't know. This is one thing I noticed when I went to university. We have an engineering department, and I remember just hearing so many people speaking Farsi.
Oh, right.
But then I feel like the number just doubled suddenly because after I graduated, I used to like use the gym, and I feel like all I could hear was people speaking Farsi. And I don't know, there's so many Iranians in Canada.
So shocking. Like, I mean, it is, but it isn't, because I know there is, but it is. There's just like a surprising amount of Iranians there. And I don't know, do you know how to speak any Farsi? I don't, actually.
I mean, I know how to say Salam Chaturi, Khub.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go, Paula, me too.
There we go. And I have like my closest friend is from Iran, and every time I go to her house, I just love eating Iranian food. It's like, it's so good. It's so good.
You're making me so hungry.
Good.
I got a Persian cookbook one day, and like I couldn't, it didn't cut it. Like I don't know what they do, but like I couldn't ever make it as well as my family. Maybe one day when I have more time, I'll just really get into it again, but.
And the thing is, like, I'm always so fascinated by the Iranian culture. Like, sometimes I would watch, like, YouTube videos about the Iranian and nightlife, and it's so amazing. I'm like, they never sleep. In Iran, they don't sleep, I think.
They're fun over there, I'll tell you.
I don't think they sleep because they're, like, having so much fun at night.
That makes sense because that's kind of who I am as an entity. So, like, I feel like I am so, and it's funny because, like, me and my father were close when I was very young, and then, we weren't. So, like, I lost out a lot of years of, like, learning about the culture, and I just, I was doing my own thing and being a rebellious little teenager. But now as I'm getting older, like, I'm so fascinated too, and the more I learn about it, I'm like, I am so Iranian without knowing I'm Iranian. Like, the things I learn, I'm like, oh my god. And it's funny living in, like, the south of France, like, because, like, Iranian is very, like, Mediterranean. So, like, so everyone actually asks me, like, if I'm Italian. Like, it's a constant question. They're like, you're from Italy, right? Like, so it's like, it's interesting that I ended up in the south of France, like, as an Iranian, and just, like, get confused with their culture so much. And my dad is obsessed with Italy and, like, the whole Mediterranean culture too. So I'm like, hurry.
Yeah, and I don't know if there are many Iranians elsewhere. I know in Italy there are not. I don't know in other parts of the world. Like, I know UK, I haven't met anyone because, like, my parents live there and I usually go there. I haven't met any Iranians. I see a bunch of Iranians here in Montreal. A lot of
Right.
them.
Because
I
they all went
cannot
to
think of,
Canada.
they all came to Canada, I think.
They all came. I have one uncle in Germany. I don't know. I know there's like some in France, but there's a lot of like Algerians and Moroccans, and I've never met anyone from Bangladesh though either. So I don't know. Like I don't know where everybody from Bangladesh is hiding, but like.
Well, we're actually spread, but you'll see a big community in UK, a very big,
Okay.
big community. In Canada, there is a very big one. Australia, there is a very big one. United States, there is a
Okay.
very big community. In France too. In France too, eh?
Not where I'm living.
Wow.
I'm like, there must be though. I mean, I'm sure there's like everybody lives in France though. But you're the first person I met, like from
It's okay. I
Bangladesh.
feel
So.
very special.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about it. And like, speaking of food, what is the food like in Bangladesh? What's like your dishes? Is it,
So we do eat a lot of rice and we eat a lot of fish. That's one
okay,
thing that you must know.
sounds
So
great.
the
I
the
love
thing
it.
is, like the rice will always be there because you have to have something with the rice. So you either gonna have like chicken curry, fish curry, beef curry. You're gonna have egg curry, veggie. You will have different types of vegetables, and so but everything that you eat will always be with rice. And a little bit like Iranians, we do have like every time we eat, we have this huge table full of food. It's like every time we're having a feast, but it's not. It's regular food.
Right. There's always so much rice with
The,
Iranians too.
yeah, exactly. So our rice is like plain rice. It's not like the Iranian one, which has the saffron, which is
Yeah, the
so good.
tadika.
Yeah, it's like plain rice, but then you have all these like dishes aside that you have to eat with your rice. And I would say Bengali culture is heavily like based on fish. We do eat a lot of fish. There are different kinds of fish, which are like specific, more like Bengali type of fish, which I also do not know the names.
Okay.
And we also eat like biryani, which is like,
Oh, I love
um,
biryani. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like rice made with like beef. You have to mix it. There is a specific way of cooking it. You put a lot of ghee, which is like a type of
Right.
butter.
Right. So it's
So that,
similar to like Indian cuisine.
yeah, there
I
you
mean,
go. It's
in
similar
in, in
to,
India, obviously, I know, but each place has their own like.
yeah, exactly. So I would say it's very rich in terms of like, it's very like, it can be spicy, but it's also very flavorful and very colorful.
Right. I mean, I know I would love it because I love Indian food in general. But when you come to another country and you order Indian food, it's like Indian food is Indian food. So I know like traditional, like different regions have their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
honestly, I knew nothing about. The only thing I knew about Bangladesh was like George Harrison's concerts from the Beatles in the 1970s when he was like doing all the things from Bangladesh and he got Ruby car Ruby whatever What?
I know Rupika.
No, that's
Are we
not.
are we
That's
talking
the
about the same
poet, but
person? I know.
Ravi Shank, Ravi, I don't know. The God, I'm
Oh,
the sitar player. I know Ruby Kaur's a poet. I don't know. I just dropped her name for no reason, but
but Rupika is also a singer. She's also a singer.
oh, okay, right, okay. Is she from Bangladesh? I
She's
know Ravi
not.
Shankar is the sitar player, and that's.
No, Rupika is not from Bangladesh, but she does music with some Bengali people. So
Okay, well maybe that was like subconsciously I knew that because I honestly didn't know that and I just like spit out her name trying to come up with a sitar player from Bangladesh who played with George Harrison, but Ruby
it's all good.
Kaur, Ravi Shankar, both of them are both of them are great.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh god, that's good. All right, well, so yes, and I know you also love reading and like.
I do.
So what books have inspired you a lot in life?
Oh my God, that's
I know it's such a loaded question.
that's such a difficult question.
I know. I'm horrible for asking that.
It's such a difficult question because I don't think I can ever give a proper answer.
I can't either when people ask me that,
No,
but
because I feel like every one of them has sort of like an impact because I read
right.
like fiction and nonfiction.
Okay. All right.
So fiction I read
Yeah,
it for
so
fun.
different. So
So
different.
different, yeah. So I feel like I cannot pinpoint one in particular, but I read this one called about the Ikigai.
Okay.
Which I really liked because it shows like how you can, there is a diagram and it shows how you can combine your passion and like monetize it, serve the community and like do what is good for you, and how you find your ikigai, which is your purpose of like being, or the purpose of doing something. So that was a very good book because it just, I feel like it clarified how to use your passions to do the things that you love. And that has been a really good book because even in the book itself, so it's very easy to read, it's not too long. And in the book itself, I like how they have examples about actual people that are pursuing their ikigai. And these are like people that live in Japan and they are living a very happy and fulfilled and satisfied life. And they live like until they're 100, and they're saying like they find happiness in little things. They just follow what they're meant to be. Like they just follow what they love. So if they love gardening, they just do that on a regular basis. They practice mindfulness, they practice meditation. So it's like little simple things that we don't think of when, especially for people that live on the other side of the world. And
Right.
so that was a very, very good book. I feel like it's like everyone should read it so they
Yeah, I
understand
think
better. Like,
based on what you told me, everyone should read it because it is. It's like, in Western society, it just gets so in the busyness, and I mean, like, it's inevitable. Even me, I'm like, I practice meditation and stuff like this. Like, I have been for years, but it's like, the fact of the matter is, like, when you're living life and you have to like make a living, like, you do lose some of that. But it's so interesting because I do believe, like, really happy people just don't die. Happy people don't get sick. Like, happy people who are following their passions just like I mean, they have problems because they have to go through life lessons like everyone else. And being a human in this meat suit is like not always a bed of sunshine and rainbows. But it's beautiful, and like life is a great journey regardless of your
yeah,
struggles, and struggles build us who we are. But like, God, people who are just mindful and present and like just follow their
yeah,
passions and
yeah,
ignore literally everything else, just like don't die and don't get sick. It's fundamentally true.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like how I want to live my life, just follow my passions, and I mean we all do, but doing it all the time is another story.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah.
And I know you're doing that too. So, you're following your passions and showing up for yourself. So yeah, like what is a way you like show up for yourself every day? I mean, make sure you don't like get lost in just like the financial world, and like keep the balance with
That's a very tricky question, actually.
like probing deep now.
I don't know, to be honest. I think people ask me what keeps you going and what motivates you, but I don't know if I have an answer. I always see my day as a learning opportunity, as a new day, new learning opportunity. So that's how I see it. And that's how like I even start my day with like listening to podcasts because I want to make sure that I'm like learning each day that goes by.
Right. Yeah.
And
That's really great because the morning is, they always say, like, is how you set off the tone of your day, because you really do reset. Like, technically, every day is like a new day. Like, yesterday does not exist. Time is an illusion. Energy is fluid, and yesterday no longer exists, and you don't have to take it with you. So, I mean, that's a beautiful way to live your life. That's pretty much
yeah.
my life philosophy. And yeah, what podcasts do you listen to and to like get started? What is like motivational for you? I'm
So,
curious because I need more good podcasts to listen to. I'll be listening to these crazy murder podcasts and stuff, like, and then I'll go down a dark rabbit hole and be like, yeah, I don't know if I need to go there anymore.
so here's the thing. You probably will feel like I'm boring. So, so I listen to a bunch of podcasts all about the economy and what's happening in the economy because that's how I am. I listen to a lot of things.
Well, you're in finances,
Yeah, I
so.
know. That's why, but I love that. I love that. So I listen to a lot of things about the economy, and then there is this one about oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the podcast, but it's with Emily Abadi. She's a life coach, and she invites like a bunch of coaches every time, like people that work in like, I don't know, in different side of the industry, and she asks about their journey, and then there is like they share their advice and how they started the entrepreneurial journey and things like that. And every week she does this like 5 minutes Friday where she gives like an advice or a tip for anyone who wants to be a better version of themselves. That's a good one that I listen to.
I like that.
That one is very good.
Give everyone a tip of how to better themselves today.
Exactly. I listened to this one about public speaking, and basically there is this man who gives, like there is a 20 minutes podcast where he just says things like, okay, how can you be a better speaker? How can you open a speech? How can you close a speech? So I listened to that one. And then there is this other one, which is like so long. It's like 2 hours, 3 hours podcast, which I can never listen fully, but he's a professor and he basically like talks about different things. Like there was this one where he talked about like, why do we lose our hair? And there was like a huge, like it was so long, this podcast.
Why do we lose our hair?
There are so many things. There are so many factors. I remember listening to it. I was like, I don't, it's so technical.
I feel like stress is a huge one though.
Stress is a huge one. Genetics is another reason.
Right. I just attest everything that's a malady in the body to stress. or trauma. This is my diagnosis.
It's like the biggest enemy ever.
It really is. Like, and we have no idea. We're always just stressing ourselves out so bad. So that's just going to be, that's my podcast. It's called The Fundamentals of Existence Can Be Diagnosed in One Thing, Stress. You stress yourself out, your life's going to be a catastrophe. If you don't, you get to be like the Japanese and live to be 100, drinking tea and like having rice and under a sakura tree and just like singing songs and writing haikus, which sounds good to me. I'm going to follow that method.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, that's all great. I don't know. I'm on a tangent now, so, you know. So have you always wanted to be in finance, or is that like, did that just happen? What led you to that in life?
No, I think it just happened, actually. Yeah, because I remember I wanted to be a therapist when I was much younger. I don't know why I wanted to be a therapist. And then I started my my bachelor degree in international business, and finance was my main minor. And I remember going to international business classes and be like, why did I even choose this major? And then one day I took like a finance course. I'm telling you, it was love at first sight. So
really?
I was like, you know, that's it. I'm going to switch major. And so it became my major. And I remember I enjoyed every bit of it. Like I would go to classes. I would enjoy listening to my professors. I would enjoy studying for it. I would enjoy like taking exams, to the point that I was so upset when I had to graduate. I was like, I don't think I'm ready for this. And then I started to work in the financial services industry. And then I was like, okay, I want to continue studying. So I did like a certification. Then I did another one. And then I did the third one, which is the last one, which is the CFA designation. And that one, it literally took me 3 years to finish it because it's like long. And then there was a pandemic. They had to postpone the exam and stuff like that. But I
wish to stay in school forever.
Yeah, I should have just stayed in school forever, honestly. That's what I think about sometimes. I'm like, I think I was just meant to stay at school. But that's the thing. I love studying. I love studying finance. And that's why, like, for me, it was effortless. It was effortless, literally. So I enjoy being in finance.
I feel it, like, when you talk about it, your whole aura just, like, vibrates at such a high rate, like, you were glowing. I mean, you all listening will not be able to see her, but you can feel her vibrating with, like, how much she takes finances. Well, good, you can do my financials now. I don't know, but what, I mean, I know I read what you do, but, like, when I was reading the words of what you do in finances, my brain just, like, completely went to, like, the la la land of where I know nothing that has to do with anything financial other than I spend money really well. If anyone out there needs me to spend their money, I got you. But, so what exactly is your sector? Cause I read the words and I was like, yep, don't know what that is.
What exactly is my what?
Like what your role in finances is. Like, the CFA chart, like, I don't know what that means.
It stands for Chartered Financial Analyst. So basically, it's a certification that basically people in the financial services industry pursue. Like, it's not something that everyone does.
Oh,
But it is something that if you want to work in certain like field, especially like if you want to work in research, if you want to do portfolio management, it is something that I would highly recommend. And basically you go over 3 levels. There are 3 exams that you have to go. It's very, very difficult because you are competing on a global level. So it is an exam that is recognized on a global level. And basically you are competing to beat the benchmark. And so it's pretty difficult. And we do have a very low passing rate, I would say like 40%,
oh wow.
45, depending on the year. And so it is something that you have to like spend a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice, and you have to be willing to sweat for it. So it was, for me, it was a big achievement when I finally made it through.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds like you enjoyed it, so.
Yeah, I did. I'm probably the only one who's going to tell you this because a lot of
I
people that I know,
know. I'm shocked at how much you
they hate it. I'm
enjoyed
pretty sure they hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I would, but that makes you unique in that because,
Yes.
I mean, somebody has to do it, right? And it wasn't going to be me, or apparently the other 55% of people who tried to do it also, so. And that's why, I think, like, life is so interesting because, like, that everybody just has their things that they're good at, and but we can all come together and agree on like so many like fundamental philosophical ideologies, and really are all out here doing the same thing. We're all here to empower and motivate ourselves and others and be like a shining light, because it doesn't really, I feel like when I first like started feeling that way, I was like, oh, I have to be like a life coach or whatever, but it's like, no, your energy talking about finances is enough to like spark the empowerment of another person, because like when you're passionate about whatever it is, it's just like that energy that feeds everything we're trying to create in life in general. So
Yeah.
I think that's good to be pointed out, and like a beautiful thing about life, because it really doesn't matter what you do as long as you love what you're doing. And like, I think that's very empowering in and of itself. In the women empowerment, and you're in, that's a very interesting field here, and I know nothing about it, but if I need help with finances, I may give you a call.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so, do you want to like tell us something like, like no one really knows about you, something, what's something like not many people would guess about,
Oh my God, that's also another difficult question because I'm like, I feel like I feel like I don't have anything particular that I feel like it makes me so interesting. Like, I don't know.
I think you're interesting, so.
I wish I had a hidden talent, but I don't.
Yeah, like well, you do, you have finances, but maybe you haven't discovered it yet. So we have like the Muay Thai, like you might end up being like a ninja master or something at some point. Like we'll see, boxing champion of the world. I don't know. Maybe hidden talent. But you have a lot of talent. So, I mean, you're not lacking. You don't need to pull another one out of your rabbit hat.
Thank you.
You're managing life much better than I am, it seems. So, like, I give you props on that, because, like,
thank you.
It all looks very organized in there, and you're blogging, you're speaking, you're part of communities, you're financing, you're doing, writing books. It's pretty incredible, so.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I think we are at your scheduled time, so thank you so much for coming on the show, and it's so nice to meet you and talk to you. And before we go, do you have any parting words for the here audiences?
Yeah, maybe I can tell about my social media. Social media where people can find me.
Yeah, I mean, and when I publish this and post this, I will put, for all of you, I will put all of her links, which she will send to me too. But yes, tell everybody where to find you and follow your adventures and journeys. And
Yes, I have a blog. It's called myways.ca. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Urmi Hossain. So that's pretty much my name. I have an Instagram account called Urmamio. I have a LinkedIn account, which is called Urmi Hossain. And for anyone who wants to purchase my book, it's available on Amazon. So it's called Discovering Your Identity, Every Birth from Interracial Struggle.
And don't forget your Italian travel guide.
Yeah, that one too.
Because aren't we all trying to go to Italy every summer? I mean,
I feel like this year everyone is going to Italy. Everyone that I meet, they're like, I'm going to Italy. I'm like, what? Everyone's going there.
Italy just like seems to be very, I mean,
I'm like
Because it's so
trying to buy a
pretty.
house
Come on.
there. I mean, the
Because it's
park
so
is
pretty.
crazy.
I mean, who are we kidding?
I know. But yeah, so we will post all, don't worry kids, all the descriptions and links will be in the biography, as if I could still talk after an hour of talking, in the biography of this here podcast, The Leila Show, so. And that's me, Leila Ziari, snorting at herself, laughing hysterically at, links and stuff. Alright, well thank you so much for joining us, and yeah, let's keep in touch and follow all your adventures. And
Thank
for
you.
all of my listeners, thank you for tuning in to me, your host, Leila Ziari, and we will see you next time. Bisous. Ciao, ciao.
The Leila Show.